evening, welcome to the Buck Stops Here. I'm Vishnu Shom. After a day of will he or won't he, the big boss of the Sahara Group, Subrata Roy, has finally surrendered. He's been arrested and was presented before a magistrate after the Supreme Court had earlier made it clear. His repeated non-appearance in court in connection with the massive case against his group was no longer acceptable. The ramifications of the arrest are huge. The Sahara Group has been one of India's largest companies. This evening on the Buck Stops Here, the Sahara bosses arrested are India's biggest corporate houses, no longer untouchable. That's what we're looking at this evening. But first, our top story, the arrest of Subrata Roy, one of the biggest names in Indian industry.
Subrata Roy, one of India's most flamboyant and influential industrialists, will spend the next 3 days in police custody. The Supreme Court, no less, ordered his arrest, as he failed to appear before it to explain why his company has not refunded the 24,000 crore rupees it owes to over 3 crore small investors. Sahara Shri, as he likes to be called by his 12 lakh employees, surrendered this morning in Lucknow, but kept the magistrate waiting for over 2 hours before his luxury motorcade left Sahara Sheher, his mansion in Lucknow. The judge pulled up the lawyers and cops over the delay.
Now, essentially, all the media people and everybody who's not even remotely connected to this case has been asked to leave the court premises. So, as we've been reporting, that the entire campus is out of bounds for the media.
Clearly, Subrata Roy's fall has been as dramatic as his rise. His rags to riches story made him a household name in India, prompting investors to put in their hard-earned savings in 2 financial schemes the Sahara Group had floated. Schemes that were later termed illegal by market regulator SEBI that directed him to refund 24,000 crores to the investors. This became the basis of a major legal tussle between SEBI and the Sahara Group, with a high-intense drama leading up to his arrest. Earlier this week, Subrata Roy's lawyer told the Supreme Court that he was unable to appear as he was by the side of his 92-year-old ailing mother, who was in a critical condition. He wrote for the court's benefit, "Nothing is more than mother." When the police failed to arrest him and the media reported that he's absconding, Subrata Roy made another emotional pitch today, saying, "I can't handle this level of agony and humiliation. I'm not the kind of human being who will abscond. A lot of people advised me to get admitted in some hospital, as it is the general practice to avoid courts on medical grounds. However, I hate such drama." And then he surrendered.
Sahara India Parivar has always put our beloved nation ahead of our business interest and has always ensured compliance of the law of the land across the business and processes. Shri Subrata Roy Sahara to me is not only a adoring father but also a patriotic son of the soil who has contributed immensely to the country in many ways. Whenever India needed its son to stand up and shoulder responsibilities.
Today, of course, we saw that he went ahead and surrendered himself while his son addressed a very emotional press conference here, calling Subrata Roy a doting father and a patriotic son of the soil. He even read out a message from his father. "This is the best honor my country could have given me." The Sahara Group, that claims to have a net worth of over 68,000 crore rupees, once again reiterated that it has refunded all except 2,000 crores to investors, and that it has given the proof of the refunds to SEBI. If it hadn't paid, there would have been bloodbath or suicides across the country. SEBI rejected the truckloads of documents that Sahara had sent as proof of payments, saying these were not genuine. The Supreme Court in turn asked Sahara to submit title deeds of its properties, asking SEBI to sell them and refund the money. But Sahara told the court that properties can't be sold, as many of them are under third-party rights. But now it seems Subrata Roy's larger-than-life image or his political connections are not helping. He has no choice but to appear before the top court next Tuesday. With Anand Sanane in Lucknow, in New Delhi, Shweta Rajpalkoli, NDTV.
Well, what exactly is the Sahara scam all about, and why has the Supreme Court insisted that the Sahara Group repaid 24,000 crores to investors? In fact, just who are these mysterious investors in the first place? Do they really exist, and if so, where? Srinivasan Jain reports.
At the core of the controversy is the mystery of 24,000 crores, which Sahara claimed to have raised through 2 investor schemes, which the Supreme Court asked it to refund after SEBI declared those schemes illegal. Sahara claims they have repaid 19,000 crores to millions of investors in a matter of a few months, a claim which SEBI has contested. Sahara says the proof is in the 5 crore documents sent to SEBI headquarters. But when SEBI wrote to 20,000 sample depositors asking them to apply for a refund, only 68 wrote back, less than 1%. Sahara in its ads claimed that these depositors are low-income folk with no fixed address. But a sample of the names and addresses of Sahara investors submitted to SEBI did not appear genuine, which is further confirmed by our reporters on the ground.
ये पानीपत का सैनी मोहल्ले का चौक है जहाँ पर हम खड़े हैं, वार्ड नंबर 12 मकान नंबर 277। यहाँ आसपास हमने पूरी जानकारी जांच कर ली है। रणधीर सिंह नाम का कोई भी आदमी यहाँ पर नहीं रह रहा है।
मिली जानकारी के अनुसार संजय रायकवाल उज्जैन के 48 शीतला माता कचेरी में रहते हैं, लेकिन हमें ऐसी कोई जगह मिली ही नहीं।
इस वक्त खड़े हैं हम नाभा की इंदिरा कॉलोनी इलाके में, जहां मकान नंबर्स की शुरुआत 251 से होती है। कुल घर यहां पे 25 हैं और 3 नंबर मकान इस इलाके में कोई भी नहीं है।
The Supreme Court in exasperation asked Sahara to submit title deeds of its properties, asking SEBI to sell them and refund the money. But SEBI claims that these properties were either overvalued or non-existent, like a supposed 106-acre project in Versova in Mumbai.
Trace this plot were not easy. Sahara mentioned a Versova project in Goregaon, 2 very separate areas. We then used a survey number given by Sahara and finally traced it to a property in Lokhandwala. But land authorities told us that the survey number is held by 2 other companies, Beeline Impex Private Limited and Pearl Cosmetics and Chemicals Private Limited. Also, this plot is a 19 lakh square feet one and not a 46 lakh square feet one as claimed by Sahara.
Sahara told the court that many of these properties couldn't be sold because they were trapped under third-party rights. This was the last straw for the Supreme Court, which asked Subrata Roy to appear before it. When he didn't, they issued the non-bailable arrest warrants against him, leading to his being taken into custody. With Nihamasi, Srinivasan Jain for NDTV.
Well, joining us now to debate this, Vikas Singh, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court. Tamal Bandopadhyay, also with us. He is the author of the unpublished book, Sahara, The Untold Story. Dr. Arvind Virmani, the former Chief Economic Advisor, Government of India, former Executive Director of IMF in the studio. Raju Ramchandran, Senior Advocate with me in the studio. Surjit Bhalla, MD, Oxus Fund Management. With us also Vikram Singh Mehta, the Chairman of Brookings India. So a big panel today. Let's get right underway. Mr. Vikas Singh, let me ask you first, did it really need to come to this as far as Subrata Roy was concerned? Because if you look at what the Supreme Court had to say, it's embarrassing in a sense. The arms of this court are very long. We will get him here if he does not want to come on his own. If other directors can come, why can't he? And that's not it. They've even said more. Did Subrata Roy really need to leave it right up to this stage?
Well, if you ask me, this is not looking like a controversy between a Supreme Court judgment and Subrata Roy. It is looking as if the judges have taken this issue personally and, are wanting him to be arrested or wanting him to be, sort of brought to court in this manner. If you analyze the original problem, the original debate was only between SEBI and Sahara as to whether Sahara has got the right to collect this money from the general public or not. Now, in the original controversy which was before SEBI and which travelled right up to the Supreme Court, the investors were never there. The investors' issue was never ever considered. The Supreme Court was only to rule only on the question of whether SEBI has a right to control or SEBI has a right to regulate this collection of money, or SEBI has no right
you
to
made an interesting
regulate
point.
this collection
I'm sorry
of
to
money.
interrupt you, but you said that the judges are taking it personally. Are you saying that they're biased?
Of course they are taking it personally. It is quite obvious that they are taking it personally. You tell me he is not, as of today, he is not a criminal.
Is that therefore, are you therefore not raising the impartiality of the judges? How can judges take
I'm
something?
not saying
Supreme
about
Court
the.
judges
I'm not
take
saying.
anything
I'm
personal.
not saying. I'm not saying that they are not impartial, but I am saying that they are taking it personally. Taking it personally doesn't mean that they may not be impartial. But the way this case has been conducted,
So
there is not to be said.
means that they can't be impartial.
No, in the sense that they are taking something as if it has something wrong, some wrong has happened to them personally, rather than a wrong done to the institution or a wrong done to the.
Sir, they speak for the court. They speak for justice.
I mean, if you
go ahead,
if you allow me to complete, you will appreciate what I am trying to say. Now, in this entire controversy, there was no issue of this money being refunded to the investors through the court, because if that had been an issue, then there would have been a consequential debate also in the judgment as to if there is no investor, what happens to that money. Now, if there is no investor which the Saharas are able to produce, then the judgment goes on to say that this money will be appropriated and it will be deposited in the government treasury. Now, this, according to me, is again a completely illegal order, because according to the law of the land,
yes,
in such cases, if it is an income tax case, and if there is this kind of money which you are not able to explain the source of people who have deposited with you, at worst it can be your undisclosed income, and you can be made liable to pay tax. This kind of an order can be passed only if you are a coffee posa détenu, or some preventive detention order has been passed.
Since
and
you
because
do
of that,
the
can
issue
you just
of
let
where
me
the money
complete?
has come from, isn't that perhaps the
No,
biggest
even if
question
it,
mark
I'm
over
saying,
here? Because despite the truckloads
even if,
of
even
evidence
if the
proof
money,
which has been
even
provided,
if the money,
SEBI has also written letters
even
to
if
20,000 odd people to find out about their
even
identity.
if the money,
of that, less than 1% replied. Only 68 wrote back. So the SEBI sources say less than 1% of Sahara depositors are genuine.
No, just listen to me. I'm accepting everything against Sahara, that this money is not of these original investors. This money may be of somebody else and not these investors. Even then, the law of the land doesn't permit this kind of an order to be passed. Even then, the law of the land says that this will at best be considered as your undisclosed income, and you will be liable to pay tax. But that too in a properly income tax proceeding.
All right.
This kind of an order can be passed only if there is a preventive.
Let me get a reaction to what you're saying.
Order.
The basic point Mr. Vikas said that even if you accept a lot of the allegations which have been made against Sahara, the nature of the judgment or the rulings thus far is wrong. It is questioning it.
Vishnu, it's too late in the day to question the judgment. The judgment has attained finality. And once a judgment attains finality, you are bound to comply with the judgment.
Yes.
When you don't comply with the judgment, you are in contempt. And then you have to answer a charge of contempt.
Right.
And as a step in aid of that, the court directs personal presence. Now you can't go around saying that the judgment was wrong, so I won't appear.
Right.
And I am also a little surprised at Vikas saying that the judges have taken it personally. The court is enforcing.
Mr. Vikas,
it's a question of majesty of the law. It's a question of the majesty of the law.
Would you like to take back that statement? Because from everything we know, the judges of the Supreme Court or any court do not take things personally, sir. It's not a personal issue.
No.
Are they targeting Subrata Roy, sir? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'll elaborate what I want to say. That this is a case where if the person is asked to appear in a contempt, he has not yet been convicted under contempt. He's only been, notice has been issued. And if he comes up with a medical certificate saying that his 92-year-old mother is on the deathbed, and I give
so
you
why
1
was
day's
he in a wedding day before yesterday, sir? Why was he in a wedding?
No, I'm not
there were
trying to
pictures of
justify.
him
I'm not
at
trying
a
to
wedding a
justify
couple of days
Mr.
ago.
Subrata Roy at all.
If his mother was that unwell, why was he at a wedding?
No, a 92-year-old can, the health can go change from day to day. I'm sure you will realize that. It is not that. I'm not going to the wedding. I don't know Mr. Subrata Roy.
So the health was okay of his mother when he was at the wedding, but it became bad afterwards.
Could have a 92-year-old deterioration. My mother, I sometimes, I'm traveling, I sometimes tell my mother is 84 only, and suddenly I get a call that she is not well. And she starts, so it can happen. That doesn't mean that 3 days before I can't attend the wedding if my mother is, on that day all right. So it can deteriorate. I'm not trying to, I'm not getting into the merits. He may have a genuine reason for not coming to court, or he may not have a genuine reason.
Dr.
But
Virmani,
is this the way to haul somebody?
Argument which has been given by Subrata Roy that his mother was
Don't
unwell.
tell me something. Is he an accused? Is he an accused that he should be sent to police custody for 4 days?
He's not an accused, sir. The question is of his non-appearance.
Is he facing a criminal trial?
No, sir,
not appearing means he has
why
given a medical
don't we look at what else the
certificate.
Supreme Court has said? Yesterday only we had refused your plea for exemption from personal appearance. All this is going on for last 2 years. We are issuing non-bailable warrant now.
Not 2 years. Not 2 years.
So they've got it wrong, sir. I'm quoting from the Supreme Court order, sir.
No. I'm not on that. What I'm trying to say that these proceedings are going way beyond what was the original controversy before the Supreme Court. That's all that I'm wanting to say. The original controversy was only whether SEBI
but sir, that doesn't mean that some of the other points coming up are less relevant. I wanted to get your views.
No, I'll tell you, Vishnu, I was representing some of the investors. Investors say that it is not possible for us to go to Bombay to collect our 2,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 to establish our identity, do that expenditure to go all the way to Bombay.
SEBI wrote to 20,000 sample depositors asking them to apply for a refund. 68 wrote back. That's less than 1%. The manner in which these truckloads of proof has been submitted, it is impossible, according to SEBI, for them to find out what is true and what is not.
Yeah, but then was this the controversy before the Supreme Court? Is the moot point that I'm wanting
to
say.
Okay, and let me open this up to the rest of my panel. So you had a point to make before I go across to Dr. Virmani.
The point which I wanted to make was that you can't question the judgment today. The judgment is final, and it's not a question of being accused. Once the court has issued a non-bailable warrant, the police have to execute it. And therefore, he is in police custody. He has to appear before the Supreme Court under its direction.
Yes.
And therefore, since he has not complied with it voluntarily, the police had to take him into custody.
Okay.